Hey everybody, welcome to Mortgage Mastermind Group, our top producer interview. Thank you guys for joining us today. I'm going to give everybody an extra second here while the attendees populate real quick. I'm Paul Baxter. I'm going to kind of be hosting for today. For some of you guys I'm not familiar with, so it's good. It's great to meet you finally. I am here with my good friend, Mr. Chad Bates of Legacy Mortgage Group and founder of Mortgage Mastermind Group. He's a 35-year veteran of the banking and mortgage banking industry, not to mention one of the most giving people I know. Chad, how goes it today, my friend?
I'm doing excellent, Paul. Yourself?
Oh, it's a beautiful day. I can't tell you how excited I am to have all these friends. I mean, just looking at the list of people who are joining us, I'm really excited for all of our friends, people that know, trust, and like us, people that know who we are, have joined in with us and supporting us on the Mortgage Mastermind Group, our new adventure together. I'm excited about it, and the reality is they came here not to hear me talk about Mortgage Mastermind Group, but they want to hear Chad Bates talk about how he built such a diversified mortgage business. So
looking forward to sharing that, Paul. It's been a rewarding career for me, and I want to make sure that I really give back to the industry and give back to people and help them have the level of success that they deserve in their life.
Well, I can tell there is a lot of people on this call right now with us today that know you, Chad, that have gotten an opportunity over those 35 years to meet you at different places, to be part of your sharing, and I think everybody that does know who you are would agree. You know, that's what you do. That's what you live for. It's what makes you the happiest, is when you can share and enrich other people's lives. That's what keeps you going in this industry. So I'm excited to be partnered with you and offering that insight that you have in the mortgage business to our friends, and helping others grow their business as well. So, Chad, you know, like as we mentioned, we're kind of giving everybody an inside look at our member-only classes. And so what we've got today is we've got a member-only class called Building a Diversified Mortgage Business. And it's presented by our founder and, again, mortgage veteran, Mr. Chad Bates. Chad, what have you got for us today?
Well, thank you, Paul. I think that the way I'd like to start off this class is just to emphasize that over the 35 years that I've been in the banking and mortgage banking industry, I've seen all kinds of different markets. And one of the things that I am absolutely convinced about is that you need to diversify your business in order to survive over a long period of time, because we have interest rates that go up. I've seen interest rates as high as 21% in my career, and I've seen them down, of course, the absolute lows. I've seen buyer's market, seller's market, etc. So one of the things that I think is really critical for any mortgage professional is to diversify their business. And this is just a little bit of a graph that shows, you know, I remember in 1981 when rates were up close to that 20% market. And, you know, of course, now we're down in this range here. But you can see just over time all the fluctuations in interest rates. So in order to have a long-standing business, a long-standing career in this industry, you need to be able to be prepared for times where rates go up. And I can tell you that based on my experience and over time, and based on what's going on with our government right now, we should be protecting ourselves right now and designing our business plans such that we are ready for interest rates to go up. It's inevitable from an economic perspective that we're going to see a rising interest rate environment. So one of the things that I like to look at is what we're going to cover today. Well, we're going to cover two primary things: how to build a diversified business with multiple, what I call, pillars of excellence. And then I'm going to go through some specific pillars, business pillars that I have used over time. Some come and go, and also what I have studied of other mortgage professionals across the country in terms of different ways that have proven success in building our mortgage business together. So one of the things I like to do is visualize, what do I want my business to look like? And many years ago, I presented this as a concept, is that the Parthenon is just an unbelievable structure. It dates back to 447 BC. So this building has stood the test of time And I like to visualize that in my mind because over 2,500 years, a little known fact is early on in the Parthenon was actually a financial institution, so there's a little bit of a tie into the mortgage business. But notice that the key is that this structure has stood the test of time because it's got multiple strong pillars supporting the structure. So over 2,500 years. So I think that's a good visualization to kind of tie into what I want to cover today.
It really paints a picture for me.
It really does, and that's important to me. I'm kind of a visual person, and I hope that resonates with some other folks. So here's a close-up picture of the Parthenon, and then I'm going to go through some different business pillars. Now, first and foremost, any mortgage professional should base their business on realtor referrals first. And I think the key is that I see a lot of mortgage professionals miss out on is they don't know who to target and they don't know how to target them. One of the things that I teach is...
Or they target ones that don't have the ability to do business with them once they develop that relationship, not, because they're a cool person, not because they're producing.
Absolutely. And I think the key is how do you go about purposefully planning who you want to do business with, and then the other key is how do you approach those people? And so one of the things that I teach is how we can go and do a needs assessment and find out what somebody's needs are, find out if there's a match philosophically and value system-wise, and then go back to them with some business-based solutions in the form of a commitment letter so that we begin to engage a relationship that's a partnership, not just us going in trolling for loans and begging for loans. And so it's not my personality to go take rate sheets or donuts or what have you. So, but I think the other thing is that I'm going to go through some pillars here that we've established in our business where we're able to have a true partnership because we're generating business that we can take back to realtors. And I think that's
a big piece. That's absolutely a big piece to that partnership. I mean, because you look at it, a partnership is both ways. Well, if you're taking and not giving, then that partner doesn't see it any longer as a partnership. And we talk about it all the time. Well, how do we keep our realtors loyal to us? They seem to, who's got the next best deal? Well, not if it's a true partnership. Then it becomes you're part of each other's businesses.
Well, and the other thing, Paul, is it empowers us as mortgage professionals where we're not just dependent on a realtor. If they're high maintenance or what have you, because we have some control over our business, then we can choose who we want to do business with. And we can become friends and business partners. And as you said, the reciprocal relationship is the whole key there. Mm. So the second pillar, one that I'm working aggressively on right now, is renovation loans, both your Fannie Home Path renovation as well as your 203K full and streamlined. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're on this call and you are not part of a mortgage banking firm that has in-house 203K product full and streamlined, you are going to be missing a key niche that we should be focusing on. I just mentioned a little bit earlier about those changing markets. Well, why am I focusing on renovation loans? Because as interest rates rise, fewer people are going to be in a market for going out and building a home, which means a lot more people are going to be renovating their existing homes. And if you look at the aging infrastructure in America, no matter what market you're in, there's a lot of homes that are in that category that they need renovation. And that's a real key for us that we're really focusing.
That's a big deal. That's something I've never really thought too deeply about is, the infrastructure. Where are the homes in America that are being sold today that are on the market? That's a huge niche to tap into because there are probably, hundreds of thousands of homes that are in that position that need those kind of renovations. Are there people on the call that don't have, talk about the type of loan again, a renovation or an FHA 203K program available? Is there, just go ahead and raise your hand or say yes or no in the comment box. Are there folks on the call that don't have access to those programs?
Well, I can tell you, Paul, that I've done a study, and there are many, many firms out there that do not have it, and this is a difficult product to broker. I know there's some people that are in the mortgage broker business. It's a challenge to even be a broker anymore, but even a lot of mortgage banking firms do not have this, and so they have to broker it out, and then you lose control. So you're in a situation where it's 60 to 90 days, and you could burn out a borrower and burn out a realtor referral partner when you talk about those type of time lags. So, but it's very important that you become an expert in this program if you're going to try to market it. So one of the things that we're working on is really having some deep training on how to become an expert, a renovation loan expert in your market.
Sounds to me from some of the comments that that's definitely needed, because I mean, reading comments from Jim, we got it, but most shy away from it because it's very intricate. Another one, it's a super difficult loan to do.
And I think that that is the perception in the marketplace. The key is you have to have systems to go along with the strategy, and then you have to implement those systems. We have checklists, for instance, in our business that are detailed checklists and a step-by-step process where it does not have to be a difficult loan to do. But there again, people have to have the appropriate level of knowledge, of course. Okay, the third pillar is search engine optimization. I began studying a number of years ago how to maximize our internet presence because I saw the numbers rising, National Association of Realtors statistics that were going to 60, then 65, then 70%, and then now over 90% of the buyers and sellers go on the internet first when they're looking to buy or sell. So if we're not on the internet in a big way, then we're missing out on business. And this is a core component of what we've developed in our business to help bring back leads that we can, again, refer back to our realtor partners. And so you'll hear that as a common theme throughout this discussion about how to build a diversified mortgage businesses. How can we get people coming to us first? We're the gatekeeper, and then we can refer them back to our partners. Another thing about SEO that I found is you can expand your market dramatically. We are doing loans, though our office is in Arlington, Texas, we're doing loans in San Antonio or Amarillo or El Paso. To put a point of reference, that could be 6 to 8 hours away or even longer because Texas is a big state. So we're able to expand our presence by going statewide in the state that we're licensed in, and it's all because of some of the things we're doing in SEO. There are some specific strategies that go beyond just search engine optimization. And by the way, this does not have to be, again, complicated. There's some few tips and tools that you can use. But one of the things that we've done a great deal of work on is Active Rain, which is a blogging source. And that has been a huge component of our new business. In fact, our mortgage team yesterday got 3 leads off of our SEO and our Active Rain postings right here in the state of Texas.
That's one of my favorite. It's kind of, search engine optimization has become kind of a little pet project a couple of years ago and has become a major study of mine. It's something that if you look at the way that is effective search engine optimization, it's very easy to do if you know the specific steps to get it done. And that's one of the things that I think you've done very well in your mortgage business is focus on those few specific, very easy to do steps and make those work for you.
And I think that that's the key to all of these different business pillars. None of this has to be rocket science. It can be step-by-step, methodical ways to implement these different strategies. And I want to get this out on the table while we're going through this. I'm going to go through a lot of different strategies. I could go around the rest of the building and have additional strategies. I don't want anybody to leave this call being overwhelmed. We're going to talk about getting your game plan together, but I'll just get this out on the table. Don't try to do multiple pillars at one time. The key is to do one, build it up, and then get it on autopilot, and then go do another one. And soon you'll have a diversified mortgage business if you take that approach. CPAs, another good source of potential referrals, some of which will be people that we can take back to our realtor partners again. Another category, something that we began about 12 years ago, is what we call legacy care. Legacy care, if you Google all-inclusive real estate benefits plan, you'll see our website, and it has some videos on there explaining it. But we've become the exclusive providers for major employers in our marketplace where we are actually part of their employee benefit plan. And I know there's some people out there that sell big websites and that sort of thing for way too much money, and they have the mindset that you should only go to employers that have 200 to 300 employees. Well, that's not correct. If you have the right tools in your quiver you can go to major employers. We've got over 50,000 employees currently in our legacy care plan, employees, excuse me. And we've gone to public entities like school districts, municipalities, hospitals, hospital districts, et cetera, community colleges, et cetera, and we've built up a network. We actually then become part of their benefit plan, as I said, and when they have their open enrollment or their 401k and their healthcare provider and their vision insurance provider, we're right there, right alongside them with our information about legacy care. And I say all-inclusive real estate benefits plan. Again, this is another strategy where we're developing consumers that come to us that we then in turn take to our realtor partners. So huge pillar for us, and candidly, that's one of those pillars that when we hit the downturn a few years ago, when everybody else was really struggling and almost out of business, if it wasn't for having that pillar in place, we probably would have been a casualty of the downturn in our marketplace because there just was not much going on. So again, the importance of spanning different cycles is key, and having multiple pillars is one way to accomplish that.
Well, and that legacy care, an employee benefits program, I think is one of the most underused but most lucrative strategies that we have as mortgage lenders. That is an amazingly powerful strategy to be part of. First of all, you get the opportunity to sit down as the mortgage lender and speak with the business owners and the decision makers of the businesses to offer the opportunity. There's an opportunity right there. And then secondly, the access to the employees, being able to put information in front of the employees, being part of their employee handbook. That's a huge opportunity.
Well, and we've made all the mistakes that you can make, and one of the things that you'll hear from me consistently in the Mortgage Mastermind group is I will try different things at different times, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And so keeping it really real, we've made a lot of mistakes in that program. We know what works and we know what doesn't work because we've had 12 years to go through and learn. And that's part of what I want to do is share the good and the bad. There's times that we have made mistakes, and I want to prevent other people from going down the path and spending money on things that they shouldn't be spending money on as part of giving back to the industry. Financial planners, another huge pillar. There are so many different folks that you can then help. And I know mortgage professionals that this is their single pillar, and they've just mastered it because they've done it in such a huge way. But we can talk about some different strategies there. But to be able to go to a financial planner and, again, do a needs assessment and ask how you can help them build their business, well, they have everybody's financial statements. They know what their portfolio looks like. It could be that if they could borrow money and do a cash out and invest it in the market, that they'll make more money than that interest rate that they're paying for their home. So another huge strategy there. Attorneys, particularly divorce attorneys, are the niche that I feel like has the most potential for us. We hate that we have over half of our population going through a divorce, and I'm blessed to have been married for 33 years to my wife Joy. But the fact is, demographically, there's a real tough issue there for a lot of couples. And when they get divorced, they really need to separate their financial affairs. And the nice thing about targeting divorce attorneys is you're helping people that are in a tough point in their life, and you have to be sensitive to that, of course, but to be able to potentially get a referral, cash somebody out of their equity, and then help them become a homeowner on their own again. So think of it in terms of you could have 2 transactions for each person that's referred to you from divorce attorneys. Another potential niche, and another potential niche that goes back to what I said before, bringing some consumer direct referrals back to our realtor partners. Stockbrokers, very similar marketing strategy to financial planners. I could almost put those as one pillar, but I broke it out because they are a little bit different animals. Financial planners usually are more insurance related. Stockbrokers are really all about stocks and bonds. Another niche that we are focusing on, again, because of what I foresee happening in the next 12 to 18 months with interest rates going up, and because of the aging population of America, are reverse mortgages, an extremely lucrative niche. Again, it takes some specialized knowledge, and it's critical that you become an expert on that. You have to have a high level of ethics to approach this market, in my mind, because there's a lot of people that a reverse is not suited for, and you have to not just look at what kind of money you're going to make as a mortgage professional, but is it the right strategy? But in many instances in today's world, and I used to never even think about doing reverses because years ago they were, in my mind, predatory, but there's been some enhancements to this product over the years, and there are a lot of people that are sitting on equity because of the downturn in the economy a number of years ago. Their retirement assets were diminished, and they can use that underutilized asset of their home equity to help pay them stipends, so to speak, that will help them in their retirement years. So another niche that, again, because of where the industry will be going with a higher interest rate, between the renovation loans and the reverse mortgages, those are two pillars that I'm working on building right now in our business so that as rates go up, we're insulated and we have a different pillar coming to us from a business perspective.
I think the reverse mortgage is probably the single most underserved piece of the mortgage industry. I think the statistic I saw most recently is 3% of mortgage lenders offer a reverse mortgage. But the simple fact is that the baby boomers are now reaching that 65 years of age, and it's the fastest growing segment of our population in America. I can't remember the statistic I heard, but it was something like 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every day in this country. That's a very large population, and not all of them are prepared for 20 or 25 or 30 years of retirement, and the reverse mortgage product gives them that opportunity.
Well, in particular,
I think
Paul,
it's really underserved.
It absolutely is underserved, and again, you have to be an expert in that arena in order to serve that market. But just reiterate, unfortunately, so many people's 401ks got wiped out because of some of the things that happened in our economy a number of years ago, and there's been a lot of people, fewer and fewer people have a true pension anymore. So unless people really were disciplined in their savings, which we know most of the people in America are not, then they have some challenges when they get older, and so we can serve a market in a positive way. Should go without saying, but if you don't have a database with your past clients and you're not staying in touch with them on a regular basis, you are losing out on business. But you need to find new ways to give value back to your past clients, and then so that as they may have a need, by staying in touch with them, you've got that top of the mind awareness, and they give you a call when they're looking to buy or sell or buy a second home or what have you. So past clients certainly should be in everyone, and this calls quiver in terms of having a strategy that's implementable. The key is to have new ways to touch them with something of value, and that's
I think you're touching a big point there, Chad. Is I think everybody on this call does, and has tried, has maybe even done some things to market to their past client database, and maybe a lot of you didn't have results, so it becomes one of those, well, it didn't really work for me. Well, my past database didn't really work for me. It really depends on what it is that you've got to be inventive and do things that are a little bit different and come up with different ideas to get in front of that past client database, because the reality is these people that have already expressed that they know, trust, and like you, they trusted you enough to do business with you the first time. Give them a chance to trust you again or to refer you to somebody because of that trust, but you got to do it in ways that is very different. It can't be the same old, because then you run into that, well, I tried building a past client database pillar and it didn't really work for me, so I'm focused on other things. That is one of those pillars that you have to do, but if you don't do it right, it can be quite frustrating.
Well, and the consistency, Paul, is the whole key. You've got to do, you can't invest and try a strategy, any of these strategies, for a couple of months and then say, oh, that didn't work, it won't work in my market or what have you. The whole key is developing systems that build around or implementing strategies, and then systems, and then implementation. I mean, that's the whole key. Strategy, systems, implementation. I have a phrase that I use to keep myself on track. It's called purposeful planned implementation. Step-by-step, methodical manner in which we can build these different business pillars is the whole key to having lasting success in this industry. Fostering a referral business. One of the things that we do is we are constantly asking people for referrals. But how you go about asking them, having the right script, when you ask them, those are all keys. If you've got a buyer, the best time to ask them for referrals is when you're calling them and say, you've got to clear to close. Don't just wait for the closing and ask for them at that time. Certainly you want to ask for the business at that time too, and you're going to hopefully give something of value to them as a welcome home gift or something of that nature at closing. But the highest impact time we have found to ask for referrals is when you're starting that initial application and you send out a note, have some business cards in your cards that are in your handwritten note that's going out to your borrowers. When you call them and say that their loan's clear to close, ask them, who else do you know who might be in need of my services? You don't have to do this in a manner that is really aggressive or anything, but building the right scripts and dialogues, planting that seed to where they think in terms of, I can help Chad and Joy build their business because they've done a great job for me, and I know some friends that need some help, and that's a whole key too. Joy had a client for a couple months ago who's already sent her 2 other people, and these people didn't even call for an appointment. One of them showed up yesterday afternoon and said that their friend had referred them. And so that's the kind of thing, if you really foster a referral business in the right way, you're going to have people just show up out of nowhere that are in need of your services.
That's a good show up. That's a feel-good show up right there.
It's a real good show up. It feels great. Joy came home yesterday just beaming about it. So internet lead generation, there's so many different caveats to this business pillar. We don't have time to go through all the details today, but there's some that work and there's some that I've spent money on that didn't work. And so you have to be careful with internet leads. You don't want to position yourself to where you're trying just to compete based on rate, because you just beat yourself up all the time in terms of your profitability. So the right way to generate some internet leads is really, really critical too, and we've got some experts that have done really well in that arena that have joined our faculty, I'm pleased to say. Cross-selling every seller. One of my good friends from many, many years ago, I studied Greg Frost, and he had a strategy for cross-selling every seller that has been a component of our business plan, and cross-selling every listing agent. So every transaction that we come across, we're picking up that contract and we're calling the seller and offering our services too. They've just sold their home. They may not have a mortgage lender, or they may be moving out of state, and we can refer to one of our friends in the industry. But you should be calling as part of your strategies. This is a simple business pillar to implement. It just takes a little bit of attention to detail, and again, having the right systems in place. One of the things we do is we've mapped out from start to finish, pre-application all the way through post-closing, exactly what we're going to do on every single borrower, and we've got a system that gives us a tickler to remind us to do those different tasks, and I think that's key. Again, systems, systems, systems. Pre-qual services for listings. This is another great tool that if I walked into a market and I didn't have any contacts whatsoever, one of the things that I would probably focus on is calling people that have their homes for sale and offer them the ability to get pre-approved. And I think that that's a underutilized pillar. And many of these, I like to, from a marketing perspective, Paul, I like to really think about going where other people won't go. I mean, let's go where the competition is less. And I can assure you there's not very many mortgage lenders that are calling people that have their homes for sale and offering their services to them. And so that's another business pillar that, again, is very inexpensive to implement, just takes the right systems and the right scripts. That's the key.
That's absolutely. It's just like, see, to me, what you're talking about there is kind of the mortgage version of a for sale by owner strategy.
Absolutely.
You know, it's people that have already identified themselves as being in that real estate transaction process, whether it be on a seller side or buyer, it doesn't make a difference. They're identifying themselves as that with the right scripts, and with knowing, having a goal in mind and pre-set up with a follow-up plan in place before you make that. It makes that transaction, it's very easy to play numbers. You know, you call 10 of them, you know you're going to get 3 opportunities there.
Well, the key, Paul, is in our industry, 5 to 7% over the last 20 to 30 years of the population are in the market for our services at any point in time. The challenge in our business is, how do we identify that 5 to 7%? Well, if they've got their house for sale, they have a much higher likelihood of being in that 5 to 7% that's going to be in need of our services in the next 30, 60, 90 days. And so, again, go where there's less competition and try to identify your target market that needs your services. You just touched on it for sell by owners. Now, this is a market that comes and goes. So we talk about spanning the test of time in our business. And a couple of years ago, we had a buyer's market. I mean, there was nobody buying houses. And so we flipped now in Texas about 12 to 14 months ago, and we switched almost overnight to a seller's market. Now we have multiple contracts coming in right and left. So a lot of people are saying, well, if there's, my neighbor put their house in the market, they got 6 or 7 offers in 24 hours, well, I don't need to pay a real estate commission, so I'll just put it on for sale by owner. The key is in this market is how do you target those people again, and then what do you have that you can bring that's of value to that for sale by owner? How can you help them market? How can you talk to them about if you're not on the internet, you're losing potential exposure? Is there a way that you can use some of your search engine optimization tools to help show them ways to get some exposure for their home? If they don't sell, then what do? Well, we refer them back to our realtor partners again. So go into it with the right scripts of how long do you want to try to sell this home by owner yourself before you would think about employing the services of a professional realtor. Now, one of the things that you need to know, you may get some kickback from your realtor saying, why are you helping for sale by owners? And the script for that is because not all of them are going to sell, and this is one of the ways that I can bring referrals back to my realtor partners. So again, think about different ways that you can bring value, whether it be to the consumer or to our partners. Call center approach. In some markets a few years ago, we were really aggressively looking at a call center approach. This is an expensive strategy. You have to be set up and staffed for it properly. Certainly not a pillar that I would recommend when you're starting off or redesigning your business. But ultimately, I know people that have done very, very well with building a team of folks that are actively working, primarily going back to some of these other strategies, either the SEO or the internet leads. But be careful again that you don't just undercut yourself in terms of your value and just sell based on rate. This is another pillar, one of the 3 pillars, renovation and reverses, that I'm working on currently, and that's becoming a continuing education source to your realtor partners to identify new realtor partners that might be in need of your services. And this is one of my favorite strategies because at any given point in time, you could get in front of 20, 30, 40 realtors and give them some information that's of value. If your state is stringent on becoming a continuing education instructor, I know people that are doing classes with partnering with title companies, and et cetera, with other real estate firms, and they're doing classes that are not continuing education classes, but doing very, very well and building up a massive pipeline because they're getting in front of 2 or 3 classes a week for about 45 minutes or an hour, giving something of value, and then they have a chance to then circle back and do a needs assessment and give a commitment letter to realtors, and they build a relationship, and it's a great way to really look at leveraging your time. It's a great time management tool.
That's one of those. That's one of those ways that you talk about how do you differentiate yourself as a lender to your real estate agent partners. And I know the people who are doing presentations, whether they be for CE credits or not for CE credits, either way, it brands them as an expert, no matter what the topic is. And even if they only know a little, it's branding them as an expert in that topic, and that puts them in a different, it paints them in a different light than the other lenders that are approaching them with, hey, I've got all the best programs, and hey, I got fast closing times, and here's a box of donuts and a rate sheet for this week. all the lenders in the people know you got to target real estate agent partners to get referral business. That's part of business growth. That's one of your pillars. It should be part of everybody's pillars. But how do you differentiate yourself with those people? And doing presentations, again, whether they be CE or not CE, getting in front of a group like that, and that's how you brand yourself as an expert for anything that you want to present on. And even if you know just a little bit more than they do, that makes you an expert. And so that's one of those pillars that I think, golly, the people that get started on and do live presentations and put together classes that they bring agents into, their businesses, they've got built-in face-to-face opportunities and relationship opportunities because they've got people that attended their classes that they can just tap into that. It's a wealth or a well full of resources that you can just tap into when you need to.
Well, many times what you find is, I call it the power of the podium, Paul. Many times what you find is people start approaching you. I've had, after doing a class, people come up and say, can we get together for a cup of coffee and talk about doing business together? So they're raising their hand. You know, what other opportunity do you have? It's a whole lot better than just cold calling a bunch of real estate agents. That's certainly a challenging way to build your business, but having the classroom approach and presentation is a really cool way to build a massive pipeline. I know several people that are building significant pipelines with this being their core strategy right off the bat.
Yep, me too. Yep.
Social media, obviously, we could go on for a long time, and these next couple of categories, I'm just going to put them up to where you can see these are all related to social media, of course, except for the last one. But there's specific things that you can and can't do in these, or things that you should or should not do. I've made some mistakes. I tried to do consumer direct marketing with Facebook ads, and I tried to target it towards certain groups, firefighters, police officers, etc. And I spent a good bit of money, and it didn't work. So again, I'm going to share with you what works and what doesn't work, but there are some great ways to use social media. LinkedIn is a great tool to use for networking with realtors and seeing who will raise your hand. It's a great tool to use for getting the word out about your classes that you might have with either the continuing education or non-continuing education classes. Same thing on Pinterest, Twitter. All those things are ways that we can communicate in a manner that we used to not be able to communicate. Google AdWords, this has different applications, but one of the things that we've done probably the most profitably with is doing a small amount of Google AdWords campaigns, not necessarily to get mortgage business, but to help out with our strategy over here with search engine optimization. So again, knowing the proper way to use some of these pillars, they complement each other in many cases. Again, none of this has to be complicated. It's a matter of having the game plan, step-by-step procedures, and then having purposeful planned implementation. That is the key.
Absolute key.
So I'm going to step into a little bit of mindset. I think there's too many loan officers, and I started off my business this way, thinking to myself, well, I'm a mortgage lender. Well, I want you to reframe your thought process. Think of yourself as the CEO of your mortgage business. Yes, we all have people that we're interdependent on. We are interdependent on whatever conduit that we're with and whatever mortgage products that they have and what have you. But don't just think of yourself as an LO. You know, Stephen Jobs, when he was alive, God rest his soul, he was always thinking strategically. And I think that's the whole key here is, you know, kind of really thinking about how do I want my business to run? How do I want my business to look? And so I think if we change that mindset, we're not just going after an individual loan. We're thinking in terms of putting a business pillar or multiple business pillars in place that will build our business over time and insulate us from those inevitable swings in the marketplace. One of my favorite authors, again, God rest his soul, I had the pleasure many years ago of sharing a stage with Dr. Stephen Covey. But one of the things that he really taught me that resonated with me is begin with the end in mind. So again, if you combine the thought processes of Stephen Covey and many others and think in terms of how do I want my business to look? And I think I put a couple graphics here because, again, here we have the Parthenon again, but different way. You know, start with who you are and your purpose and your vision and your values and your behaviors and your tactics, And those are the pillars that can help identify your success quotient. And don't think in terms of having to take quantum leaps. I love this graphic over here with the coins because it's kind of a step at a time, but all of a sudden, after 3 or 4 steps, we have an exponential increase in our business. And that's the key to having multiple business pillars and implementing them strategically with purposeful planned implementation.
Have the goal, have the goal in mind before you begin the process. That's key to any marketing strategy that you do.
The other thing I think is important as we build our businesses is to become, the head coach of our team. One of the ways that you can expand your business dramatically is by having other team members that you delegate business pillars once you've got them implemented to. So think in terms of, again, beginning with the end in mind, but you may not have assistants right now. You may not be at a level in your business that it warrants financially for you to have assistants, and we can help you with that. The right time to add assistants, starting off with a part-time assistant or starting off with some virtual assistants sometimes, but be thinking in terms of becoming that motivator, that head coach, that strategic thinker who puts the game plan together. And I think that's the whole key to purposeful planned implementation. Another thought that I think is really important is to take the road less traveled. And there's a quote, I won't bore you with reading it, you can read it yourself. But I think that it's important to take the road less traveled. Again, one of my things that I look at it to differentiate myself in my marketplace is go where there's less competition. The renovation loans, reverses, those certainly fit into that philosophy. But no, and the other thing that I really like is instead of just going the road less traveled, make your own road. Because that's the key. This is your business. Again, you're the CEO of your business. So think in terms of where can I take my business and I can forge my own road. And I think that's very empowering if you think about that. You can pick 2, 3, 4 of these business pillars that you want to implement, and by having a step-by-step process and understanding what's worked and hasn't worked in the past, you can make your own road in this business. And that's from a personal philosophy perspective, I find that to be very, very empowering to think that way. I've said this before, I'll say it again. One of the things you want to make sure you do is avoid the pitfalls of failure. And I'm here to be a resource to all of you. And certainly I've made my share of mistakes and then some. And I'm not an ego guy, so I'm happy to share with that. So you can learn from my mistakes and learn not to waste some money that I've wasted over the years trying different strategies and understanding that there are many of these strategies you can do on a shoestring, and that's what I would recommend until you get to where you have enough critical mass financially to move into some of the other higher cost type business pillars. I said this early on, but I'm going to say it again. Don't think in terms of, oh my gosh, look at all these business pillars, I'm just absolutely overwhelmed. The only thing we have is time. And so having keeping the focus, I guess is the best way to say it, of looking at things and not becoming overwhelmed is really, really critical in terms of us being able to implement these different business pillars over a period of time. And then kind of the end thing is get your game plan together. One of the things that I've taught for about 20 years is a system called Creating Your Compelling Future. And it's a business and life plan that I recommend every mortgage professional start with. I've taught this to mortgage professionals and realtors since the early 90s. You need to establish your foundation first and think in terms of identifying 3 or 4 pillars that you're interested in implementing and do one of those, 1 per month. You know, a house can't be a house until we have at least 4 corners. So I like to think in terms of having at least 4 business pillars that we get in place over a period of time. Now, certainly if you have a team around you already, you can go faster than 1 pillar at a time. But if you don't have a team, just think in terms of, I want to take 30 days to get 1 pillar implemented, get it on autopilot, get some help, whether it be a virtual assistant or what have you, so part-time high school student or what have you, to help me keep that kind of going, and then I want to start building that 2nd pillar, and so on. Again, if you have your team of assistants already, then you can move faster than that. But think in terms of one pillar at a time. That's what most people need to be thinking about.
Well, and the big deal is having a plan in place to make those things happen. You know, each pillar, there are steps to implementing. There's a start point. There's a middle. There's a follow-up plan that has to go with it. And having a game plan to make that happen, it kind of goes. You've heard me say my favorite quote. The late great Paul Bear Bryant is famous for saying it. It's not the will to prepare to win that counts. Everybody has that. Or it's not the will to win that counts. Everybody has that. It's the will to prepare to win that makes all the difference. And I believe that firmly for everything that we do, whether it be with our health or whether it be with our business or whether it be with our relationships with our loved ones. Preparing and having a plan in place for how you're going to accomplish the goals that you've got set for yourself in life and in business is absolutely the key to being successful. And Chad, I think, quite frankly, I think we can help with that.
There's no question. You know, one of the things that I've talked to you about, Paul, is that there's too many other training companies out there in our industry that they get together for these big events. It costs a lot of money to fly in and hotels and meals, etc. And it's great because everybody gets excited and you hear somebody talk about what they're doing in their business. But then I've seen it happen too many times. Then people go home, they never implement anything, or they go home and say, God, there was that guy that was doing all this business and his niche was in VA loans or his niche was in for sale by owners, but I don't have a clue how to implement that strategy. And so one of the things that I really want to do to give back to the industry is I want to bridge that gap. I want to be able to show people step-by-step ways that they can build these business pillars and make a huge difference in the mortgage professionals in our industry.
Well, that's one of the things that you and I discussed wholeheartedly when we talked about getting together for the Mortgage Mastermind group and developing this mastermind group. We talked about the fact that it's, you know, a lot of the things that you hear, it's fluff. Hey, I'm doing this and this, but there's no real steps to how you implement it, how you actually get those things done. And you were adamant, you know, you want to be different. It's about the implementation steps. You know, there's a lot of strategies and quite frankly, there's a lot of, as you called them, training companies available to you. And you know, realistically, we teach some of the very similar same things. We teach how to get referral partner relationships. We teach how to, you know, how to pick up the phone and call our past clients. We talk about these things, but the reality is very few actually give you the steps to implement them, and that's how we want to be different. We want to give you the steps to not just have these killer ideas, but the steps to implement them, to get them done, to make them be a pillar of revenue in your business. And that's a big deal, is having not only the idea, but having the knowledge to make it happen. You know, it's kind of like putting that game plan together. Having a plan, well, you have to have an implementation plan to make it work, not just an idea or a plan of an idea. So what we're doing, and here's how we can help, we're bringing to you, each and every one of you have an opportunity to join us here at the Mortgage Mastermind group. And we're Chad Bates and I'm Paul Baxter. We've gotten together. Chad's 35 years in the mortgage business. I've got 18 years in marketing and sales, and training and coaching on implementation steps. So what Mortgage Mastermind Group is going to be is a couple of different segments to our program. The Daily Mastermind is the first part of the program, and what the Daily Mastermind is, it's a mastermind group of your peers. It's you guys that mastermind together. We learn new strategies on how to diversify your business. Chad talked a little bit about it. We talk about on the Daily Mastermind how to do search engine optimization for your mortgage business and generate those buyer leads. We talk about and develop scripts on the Daily Mastermind so that you know exactly what to say when you're cross-selling a seller or a buyer, or you're talking to the seller's agent versus talking to the buyer's agent or the client that called you up. You've got those scripts available to you. That's what we cover on the Daily Mastermind. We get the information to you that gives you the steps to actually implement. The cool thing about a mastermind group is that we're all in it for the same common goal. We're all gathering together each and every day to be able to get more loans. And the cool thing about being a part of a group like that is the accountability. Having a group of peers, of people that you know, people that are doing what you're doing, they're sitting in the same seat you are, they're getting the same training, and you come on and you hear Chad say, hey man, I did this yesterday and I got these 3 referrals off of my Active Rain posting. And then Brad says, hey Chad, can you show me a little bit how to do that? Well, you're thinking to yourself, well, if Brad and Chad can do it, why can't I do it? Or you say to the group, hey, I was thinking about getting started with a past client database set up and start working on that pillar for my business. Well, a couple of days later, being part of a group like that, somebody's going to ask you, hey, how's it going on getting that past client database system up and running? How is it going for you? That's accountability, guys. That's what being part of a mastermind group is all about. So what we do on the mastermind group is we work on all of these pillars. We answer questions about how to do a Facebook ad that's going to bring in the right kind of people, or how do I get set up with CE presentations. I'm in Colorado and man, it seems so many steps. How do I get set up on that? That's the kind of thing that we're going to cover on the Daily Mastermind, because again, we don't want you to just have these cool ideas that hey, I should be targeting CPAs and divorce attorneys. We're going to give you the steps and the implementation steps to make that happen. Some of the classes that we've already done, just so you've got a good idea, just a few minutes ago, Chad was just talking about search engine optimization as a pillar for his business. Well, we've done a couple of search engine optimization classes, search engine SEO knowledge and YouTube to get front page of Google results. The class up there that you see called the playbook, well, that's all about time blocking. That's all about how to manage your day so that you don't get that overwhelmed feeling, and kind of that graphic really that you showed just a second ago, Chad, really painted a picture where you're in the center and there's just all this stuff going on around you. How do you manage that? Having a playbook, putting together a game plan. We've talked about that, and we talk about it ongoing on the Daily Mastermind class. So we're covering all of these subjects. You're going to have access with Mortgage Mastermind Group to our top producer interviews, which is what today's class is a top producer interview. Chad Bates is a top producer in this country, and he just kind of broke down for you what his mortgage business looks like. He broke down for you where he's generating his revenue. Moving forward, we're going to be doing interviews and having just some of the top producers in the country on the call to go over what they're doing in their business and give us an opportunity to pick their brain and ask them, what are some of the pitfalls? What should they avoid? Hey, where should I get started? What should I do first? Some of our contributing faculty who are going to be part of that you're going to see on these top producer interviews, you've got Greg Frost, who is the first billion-dollar originator and has been the #1 mortgage lender in New Mexico since 1985. Now you're talking almost 30 years on top in his state. Dean Hartman, 30 years in the industry. He's a producing manager. We're going to have Chris Freck, who is in the top 10% of producing managers for 10 years running. Christian Penner, for those of you who know him, one of the most amazing technology experts there is. When you talk about inventive ways of generating new leads on the internet, Christian's the man to look to. Larry Benton, who's nationally known as a reverse mortgage specialist. He's actually, I can't remember the name of the designation, Chad, maybe you can help me on this, but he's actually got a designation from the from the Senior Citizens Associations that certifies him as a reverse mortgage expert. Jody Tonga, she is the implementation queen. Just recently voted best mortgage provider, and that's voted by clients, people who have used the services around the state, voted best mortgage provider in Hawaii for 2014. So we're super excited, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of contributing faculty and top producing loan officers that we're going to be interviewing and doing classes with over the next as we go.
You know, I like to say, Paul, that I'm blessed to have each of these contributing faculty members, and as you said, we already have added additional ones, is to be good friends. And all of these people are givers. Greg Frost, I met him back in the early 90s. He was one of my early mentors. We've stayed in touch over the years. Just a great example of somebody that wants to give back to the industry. I'm really pleased. I had a conversation with Jody Tonga, and she took a legacy care concept and implemented it over in Hawaii, and it's now one of her significant business pillars. So you mentioned about her being an implementation queen. She certainly is that.
Well, and she's also doing the CE classes where she gets anywhere from 30 to 60 real estate agents that are lining up, and you're right about it. When it's done, they're approaching her.
And Christian Penner, he started doing classes in his marketplace, and he told me just a couple of days ago that his pipeline is just ballooning. And obviously, as you touched on, one of the most technology savvy guys that I know of in the entire industry, always on the leading edge of testing what's working, that's really going to get his phone to ring. So are you beginning to get a little bit of a common feeling here? These people work on multiple business pillars, and so they're going to be bringing their expertise to the table to assist and give back to help all of our people in our mastermind group. And then as individual members of our mastermind group, you're going to think, Christian did this, but I tried this and I tweaked it this way and I got better results. And then you're going to be sharing that with the group, and that's the true power of a real mastermind. It's not about Chad Bates and Paul Baxter. We are going to be very privileged to assemble what I think has historically not been the case in our industry, of having a true mastermind group where everybody gives back, everybody shares, and we build upon each other's success.
That's the key element right there, and that's part of joining in on that mastermind call. We've got all the extras available for membership. We've got Chad's Corner, which, guys, you heard him talk a little bit about during the presentation today, creating a compelling future. Again, one of those classes or trainings, I don't know to call that a class or a training, doesn't do it service. What it is it's a lifestyle change, and every person, I believe, if you're in the mortgage business, you should absolutely get an opportunity to hear the Creating a Compelling Future class, because it really breaks it down for you, how to manage your business and manage your life at the same time, so that you get to that compelling future. You get to where it is that you're looking to get. We all have goals in our lives, and this is a great way to break it down and get to it. Scripts. For days and days, there's always scripts, and as a matter of fact, one of the cool features that we will be adding for our memberships is a place for you to request a script, where you'll be able to go into the scripts for real situations, fill out a short little form with some basic information on what you need a script for, and we'll develop a script right there for you. And then the cool part about that script development situation is once it's developed, we put it into the archive for all members to have access to, and yes, all of it is completely editable for you. So you're going to have done for you scripts for any situation, and if you don't see the one you need, let us know. We'll make one for you. Referral partner strategies, top producer training, building rapport with borrowers and using the proper linguistics. We all know that that's a great way to grow our business, is to get in front of more referral partners. But having the proper linguistics to present yourself in a way that gets that listener to want to do business with you, golly, having that ability can be the difference of whether or not you get that face-to-face appointment or whether or not they refer you business. So that's all available in Chad's Corner, and Chad's Corner, again, is another piece of the puzzle that's going to be ever-growing. There's another part called the resource library, and the resource library is going to have all the documents that we have through all of our classes. It's going to have the scripts. It's got, Chad mentioned earlier the commitment letter, and what that is it's a letter that you bring to your real estate agent and you go over it with them, it brands you so completely different, and it shows that agent that you truly have their best interest at heart. The realtor needs assessment. If you ever wanted to know what your real estate agent's pain and their goal at the same time is, this realtor needs assessment in a very, very cool way leads you through a series of questions that gets that agent subconsciously to divulge what their pain is as well as what their goals are, which gives you every bit of ammunition you could possibly need to be able to secure and provide value to that relationship. Really great stuff. And that library, again, ever growing as we add more and more things. That library is going to continue to grow, and it will grow by us sharing things, but also by our mastermind members. You are people just like you saying, hey, I used this tracking sheet the other day and it's been giving me really great results, thought I'd share it with you guys. Well, we'll provide that through our resource library for all of you as well. That is all included with the Mortgage Mastermind membership, plus you get a private Facebook group for you to engage with your peers anytime, 7 days a week, 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's completely private. Anything that's said there stays there. And we want to do it a little bit different. It's not just about what makes us feel good or if you're saying nice things about us. Every question, any question, is fair game on the private group, because the reality is you wouldn't ask the question if you didn't want to know the answer. And we don't feel like just because it may have a little bit of a negative tinge, it shouldn't be allowed on a group. Well, that's your private group for you to ask, or to, if you have a frustration, express it. If you're happy about something, if you've got a good experience, express that too. But that forum is there, that private group is there to be a safe place for you to feel free to share what is on your mind anytime, good, bad, or indifferent. That's what that is there for, what that platform is there for. So we get to the big thing. What's the price? So as you guys know, everybody on this call, we're brand new and we're growing. And for our launch, as you know, as we're growing, we want you guys to be able to see how much value Mortgage Mastermind Group is bringing to the table. And so what we've got is an initial launch price. I can assure you we've had many discussions over it, and we went back and forth. Our price will be going up as we start to get more and more traction with Mortgage Mastermind Group, as more and more people come on. We feel like we're bringing a lot more value to the table than what our initial price is, but we want you guys to have an opportunity to check us out. We want you guys to have an opportunity to get the full value of what we're offering. You're the ones that are giving us the first opportunity. You took the time out of your days and lives today to spend an hour with Chad Bates and Paul Baxter and the Mortgage Mastermind Group because you wanted to see what we're all about, and we want to reward you for that. And so what we're offering today for $97 per month, and that is, if you sign up today and you take action today, $97 a month is your price of Mortgage Mastermind Group forever. That's your price. Whether we go up to $500 a month or $800 a month or $1,000 a month, if you take action today as part of our initial group, our first group, you keep the $97 price for the life of your membership, which is a tremendous value based on everything that we've gone over the last hour and ongoing. Access to the mastermind, the daily mastermind, access to the top producer interviews, access to all of the resources that are available to you, the private groups, the conversations. And so what I'd like you to do today, if you're interested and you want to be part of something bigger, if you want to be part of a new way to approach marketing your mortgage business, if you want to be part of a mastermind group that really takes implementation as the core principle, then go to mortgagemastermindgroup.com/take action. That's mortgagemastermindgroup.com/take action. mortgagemastermindgroup.com/take action. Click on the Take Action button, and become a member of the Mortgage Mastermind group. It is that simple. Now I can see some questions as we're going through the little call to action here. Some questions are popping in, so I'm going to pop up this question box, and we'll take the time to answer as many and all of these questions as we possibly can. So bear with me as I pop open this question box. Guys, this is a safe place. We want to hear from you. Any questions that you've got, please feel free to shoot them at us. So let me just kind of scroll back up here. Paul, have not been able to get any of the replays. Can you send me an email with the website how to see the replays? Absolutely, I can, James. I certainly will. I'll get that shot over to you. James is talking about the archive of our previous classes, so I'll get that link over to you, my friend. Paul, give me a call later today. Let me write this number down so I can do that. Absolutely, I certainly will give you a shout, Wayne.
I see a question here about 203Ks that I want to make sure that I address.
Yes, says, that's one I flagged.
Yeah, isn't the FHA 203K loan only for purchase? No, that is not correct. You can have an existing loan, refinance it into a 203K, and renovate a home.
Awesome. Awesome. Bill Rogers, just a quick comment about very kudos on keeping the Facebook private group open no matter what the question. Absolutely, Bill. That's kind of what we want to do, is make sure this is your forum, not ours. This isn't all about making us feel good. This is about providing you with the value, the information that you need, no matter what the question is. This all sounds great. Sherry, good to see you. This all sounds great. What makes you different than a couple of our competitors that I won't mention the names of our competitors, but what makes us different is, Sherry, it goes back to kind of our core value in that we don't want to just provide a bunch of fluff and a bunch of good ideas. We want to provide you with the tools and the knowledge to be able to implement those ideas. That's what we kind of take that Friday interview to learn new strategies, and then we take that daily mastermind class that is every Monday, every Wednesday, every Thursday. We're on a call together and we're masterminding, and what we're doing is we typically take some information or some strategy that we learned on our Friday class, and we talk about the implementation process. How do I get started with it? What's my next step? Hey, Paul, I'm doing this. I want to get started on this. What's my next best thing? Where can I go to start doing it? And during that class, we come up with some really fantastic outside-the-box ideas. Most of the ideas that we come up with are, a lot of the folks that are on this call know me in a personal way. If it's free, it's for me, and I always look for ways that I can accomplish, good squeeze pages or good sales copy or good campaigns or good ways to communicate, good follow-up processes that don't have to be another system that I have to buy. And so that's the main difference, Sherry, is that we are focused on the steps to implement much more so than the strategies. Don't get me wrong. We understand the strategies. Most of them I've probably helped be part of developing. And we understand everything from social media marketing to relationship marketing to how to get set up for CE presentation and everything in between, how to create your own employee benefits packages and everything in between. But those are all nothing but ideas. And they are all worthless without the ways and means to implement those ideas, and that's what makes us different. I hope that answers your question, because I got a little long-winded with it. I apologize. Great question, though, and thank you for being here. Cindy's asking, what time will your daily mastermind take place each day? So that's going to be on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and we do those at noon Eastern Standard Time, typically go to 1 o'clock. There will be a couple of times, I'm not going to say noon to 1 o'clock, because time to time we may run a little longer than 1 o'clock, just depending on how many questions are being asked. But that class will typically run from noon to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And I should point out, Paul, that those classes will always be recorded, so if you have an appointment, you will have access to those classes.
Say that again.
All the classes will be recorded, so if you have an appointment outside the office where you can't be on a daily class, you can always look at it in your leisure.
Absolutely, and what's cool about that, every one of those daily classes are recorded, and any of the presentation materials are kept with the class. Now that leads us into Greg's question, which is, I know you're new, but is there content already available for us to check out and start implementing after we sign up? Absolutely. Chad's Corner has the Creating a Compelling Future already in it, complete with the commitment letter and realtor needs assessment letters. That's a strategy already built in, as well as we have 8 classes already done for the daily mastermind. So I'll just to be completely transparent with you guys, over the last 3 weeks, what we've been doing to prepare ourselves for this day is we've been, making sure that our systems are working correctly. A lot of you have heard me say, don't put the cart before the horse. Have your follow-up, have your stuff in place before you start marketing it. That's what we wanted to do. We made sure that our webinar system is working correctly. We made sure that our delivery system is working correctly. We made sure that our website is easily navigable and the resources are all available. And we did that by doing actual live classes. So over the last 3 weeks, we've done 8 classes and have them in the archive already with complete strategies. Again, search engine optimization knowledge. We did one on how to get a YouTube video to rank #1 on Google. One of my favorite classes, and one I would highly recommend if you are brand new. I'm going to recommend that everybody that gets signed up today, the first class you want to see in the Daily Mastermind is it's called The Playbook. And that is all about how to organize your day so that you can accomplish these pillars, so that you have the time in your business day to not only do the loan stuff that you're doing, but have the time to be able to implement these strategies and put together these pillars that are going to bring you more and more business. So the short answer to your question is yes, Greg, there absolutely is. Absolutely is some content in there for you. James is saying, hey, I missed the part. Can you review the cost of your new program? Absolutely. The cost right now for anybody that's on this call and listening to us now, the cost for you for Mortgage Mastermind Group is $97 a month, and that gives you complete access to the whole system. It's $97 a month. If you are on this call and you are interested, take action today. You get it for life, $97. As long as you are a member, you'll pay $97 a month. And again, guys, we are going to be increasing our price probably in the next 30 days, just because what we wanted to do is have this initial push. We wanted to give you guys something extra special for being the first group to take an opportunity to look at us and what we're doing. And so that $97 is only for you guys, and I'm going to ask you a favor. If you're on this call and you do decide to take the $97 trial, again, or not trial, excuse me, the $97 membership, it's mortgagemastermindgroup.com/take action. Please don't share that with people who were not on today's call, because we're not going to be selling it at that price all the time. And we want it to be something special for you guys that took the opportunity on our first sales call, which is today, to do this. So that's only for you guys. It's $97, James. But again, if you could, mortgagemastermindgroup.com/take action. Don't share that with anybody that you know wasn't on today's call.
And Paul, why don't you let people know how they can reach you if they have a question?
Absolutely. If you have any questions, anything you want to go over today, the easiest way, shoot me an email and we can set up a specific time for us to talk. Shoot me an email to paulb@mortgagemastermindgroup.com. That's paulb@mortgagemastermindgroup.com. And be happy to just include your question. I'll pick up the phone. We'll have a conversation about it. I'll be more than happy to talk to you and answer any other questions you've got. Jim's got a great question. Can the membership billing be set up for a certain day of the month? Absolutely it can. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it's
Bill
important to mention
Rogers has
too.
got a great question here, and this one's kind of for you, Chad. Isn't the home path easier and less expensive than the 203K?
There are strengths and weaknesses to each of the different programs, and that's something that when we have our renovation loan class, we'll be covering in detail. But we don't have enough time for me to outline all the differences. But there's some real strengths to the 203K, particularly in terms of purchases where you have less of a down payment than what's required on the home path. So you expand your market. That's probably the biggest advantage. But there are some other advantages. We'll be covering those. And I think it's important to mention too, Paul, Paul has done an unbelievable job of helping a lot of loan professionals in our industry through private implementation and coaching, and that is available. And if you have interest in considering that with Paul, just email him at paulb@mortgagemastermindgroup.com, and he'll give you the details on that as well.
Two key things. Okay, it looks like we've got a vast majority. Looks like one of the biggest 203Ks I did was a house that burned down. We completely rebuilt it, so you can't do that with the home path.
You're absolutely right, Cindy. Thank you
Awesome.
for sharing that. And I would ask y'all to please go on our Facebook page and share with your other mortgage professionals. Invite them to become members of our public Facebook page. We would certainly appreciate that. And give us some feedback on today's call. We're always here to improve. This is not about ego. It's about giving back to the industry. And that's something that you'll find consistently across the board with Paul and I. And hopefully we have an opportunity to become great friends with you and mentor you and help you build your business and really come together as a community, as a mastermind group together to help each other.
Guys, girls, thank you so much for investing your time with us today. I know, for me personally, and I know Chad feels very much the same way, when you invest an hour of your business time, I take that very, very seriously. It's not that you guys just showed up on a webinar. You invested an hour of your very valuable business time with us today. And my personal guarantee with you, for anybody that's chosen or decides you're going to become a member of Mortgage Mastermind Group, my personal guarantee to you is I will do everything I can, every class that we do, every chance I get, to meet that investment of your time with a return on investment that makes you feel as if you got more for your value, more value than you invested. That is my personal promise to you. I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time out of your day today. We're an unknown entity. You maybe recognized a name or two, but you had no idea what we were about, and you took the time to come and check us out today. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. For those of you that took action and signed up, I'm excited to start working with you, and we'll see you on the Daily Mastermind on Monday morning.
And the Facebook page, if you'll just go on Facebook, look for Mortgage Mastermind Group at the top for the search, and you'll go right to our page.
That's it. Guys, girls, thanks again. To sign up, mortgagemastermindgroup.com/take action. That's mortgagemastermindgroup.com/take action. Get signed up and let's start working together. I'm Paul Baxter. This is Chad Bates. We're the Mortgage Mastermind Group, and we are here to help you grow.